So for our very last panelist, we have the honor of introducing Dr. Michele Borba. She's an educational psychologist, an internationally renowned speaker, educator, best-selling author, as well as a Today Show contributor, who blends 40 years of teaching and consulting experience with the latest in research to offer realistic, sound advice for parents, educators, caregivers on how to help our children thrive. So Dr. Borba, thank you for being here, and we're going to have her take it away.
I'm just so delighted and honored to be here. What a panel. Thank you so much. And I get to be the concluder. So here we go. There isn't one of us out there that isn't concerned about our kids. We now know that the next mental health crisis along the way is going to be a youth mental health crisis. It's been an unprecedented time. But maybe there's one little moment along the way that's this reset button for parents and educators that realize our kids need more than a GPA. It's a very uncertain world and not a pandemic. What else is coming down the pike? Who knows? What I've been trying to figure out actually for 40 years, I'm a kind of a late bloomer here, is why do some kids struggle and others shine? And I think that there's some extraordinary research in the field of resilience that somehow has been kind of undercovered. So I want to take a moment to look at it and then say, here's some simple little things we can do. You're hearing some extraordinary speakers today. I think the most important thing is we walk away here with one or two things that we can actually do with our kids. When I tried to figure out why some children are more likely to bounce back, I took extraordinary pieces of research from Amy Werner to Ann Matston to Norm Gormieski to Michael Rudder. They're actually been looking at cohorts of kids for a long, long time. And they took kids who really were facing extreme adversity, war-torn areas, homelessness, poverty, mental health of their parents, schizophrenic parents. And along the way, what I discovered is that really strong children have learned some protective strategies. In fact, the thing that resilient kids have in common is, number one, they already have a you in their life. It's a caring adult, a champion who refuses to give up with a kid, who's there for them and who's calm. But the second thing I discover is there's 7 strengths. So let's just take a moment to look at the 7 strengths, and then let's look at, so how do we start to teach these with our kids? When I looked at all of the research, I wanted to find out only ones that are teachable, that aren't locked into DNA, and that are ones that not only impact resilience, also mental health, but also peak performance in a classroom. That's where I came up with 7. And by the way, the last 3 speakers have already talked about these. It starts with confidence, so you have a strong understanding of my strengths, not my deficits, who I am, because strengths help a child endure. Strength area is a child who goes, I got this, because when adversity hits, I have a strong understanding of who I am, not what my parent wants me to be. Second, you've heard inclusion, you've heard empathy, and we realize that social distancing of a year has made a lot of us feel not only lonely, but watch our mental health needs rise. We need connection, we need each other, because thrivers think we, not me. And we're going to help our kids learn how to reconnect, because social skills need to be practiced. Just like exercising, we need to exercise our social skill muscles. By the way, the 3 most highly correlated ones you can teach your kid right now. Keep saying hello. Let's wave. That's okay if they can't see our smile. We can just wave. Eye contact. Don't look down, look up. You actually be taking a lot more seriously if you don't look down. Always look at the color of the talker's eyes. You can teach that at age 2. And encourage. Get out the chutes and ladders game. It's thumbs up. It's high five. Good job. Start exercising those, and your child will feel a lot safer when he finally goes back into those classroom doors and sees each other. You've heard a lot on the 3rd one, self-control. The mindfulness is absolutely powerful. Donna talked a lot about not only empathy, but also self-control, to being able to give yourself permission to have feelings is essential for both. Integrity. I love the fact that kids who have thriving abilities know what they stand for. They have a strong moral code. Parents, keep telling your kids what you stand for, because when mental adversity comes, a thriver is a kid who says, I got this, and doesn't have to whiver and waver. Also, curiosity. Oh, these are children who aren't helicoptered. In fact, the strongest correlation of a child who is a thriver is they have personal agency or self-efficacy. They're not helicoptered or rescued. This is the kid who says, I got this, because we've helped the child when they come running in from home, sit down and say, take a deep breath, sweetie pie. Thanks for telling me what's bugging you. Now let's brainstorm what else you could do differently next time. They're problem solvers, and then they can persevere. They don't quit, they don't give up, but you can't just teach them perseverance. What I discovered along the way is that these strengths also have a multiplier effect. Every parent, you're also going to say, oh my gosh, does he have to have all 7? No, it's a rare parent who has all 7. But the more you have, the better. Because if empathy and self-control together, oh, that creates a change maker. You have confidence and perseverance, you got a flow state and you won't stop. Optimism is the last one. You got a sense of hope about your life. And as a result, you keep the pessimism down. I think what we need to keep in mind is that we've gone through a year of doom and gloom. And so what I want to zero in on is that last one. How do you help kids find hope in a year of gloom? How do you help them find a silver lining? I don't want to raise a Pollyanna. You got to have a reality check. All of these are in the book called Thrivers. Each chapter is one of those with dozens of simple science-backed ways. But let's just take a moment, pick up a pencil, and let's talk about how do you raise an optimistic child? I think the first thing is we get into the shoes of our kid and we realize it's been a doom and gloom world. I think the first thing we've got to realize is the research is saying is the more our kids see the doom and gloom stuff, from George Floyd dying live to mass shootings, to watch the TV and it's a daily death count of how many people have passed away today. After a while, that does a number to you as well as the child. So here's the first thing. Monitor the news, turn it off. Here's another thing that I think is absolutely wonderful. We do know that images either elevate our empathy or take us down. Empathy is a superpower. It helps us realize, hey, I can do something to make a difference in the world if we think we. So here's one little thing you can do. There's incredible good stuff, but it's in the back page of the newspaper. Cut it out. In fact, you're better if you show kids the newspaper as opposed to the images that are live. That's why those reporters always say, in the next few minutes, we caution you because it's going to be very dismal stuff you're seeing and it could be very damaging to you. There's a thought, turn it off. Instead, cut out the good stuff. Do what Fred Rogers would say. Help your kid find the helper so they don't have this doom and gloom of the world. I actually cut them out and put them on good news reports. Talk to your kids right before they go to bed. What a great way to reduce the nightmares. Or every night around the dinner hour. Here's one more kid I found. Real stories about real kids they inspire. Well, like these 2 kids from Ohio, a brother and a sister, who were really concerned, here comes empathy, with the 78-year-old neighbor who was so lonely all by herself down the street living in that house. Mom, we got to do something for her. Imagine how you'd feel. There's empathy. But also the mother said, what do you think you could do? There's efficacy. Well, we know our strengths. There's self-confidence. We can bring our cellos down to her porch. Maybe we can give a little cello concert for her, Mom. Maybe that would make her feel good. Bless the mom, because she says, go for it, sweetie pie. The kids took their cellos down. They gave the concert. But you know what else Mom did? She videoed it. She put it on Facebook, and it went viral. It went viral, and who began the copycats? Other kids across the country. That's why you're seeing ukulele concerts in Sacramento by 13-year-olds. That's why you're seeing tuba concerts by 10-year-olds over in New York. Kids need to be inspired. And the first way you can reduce that pessimism and open up that hope is by showing them the good news of the world. Number 2, one of the most amazing things I've had the honor to do is work on overseas Army bases on training ASACS counselors on how to help kids in trauma. But most amazing thing I got to do when I was there is talk to Navy SEALs, the most elite forces in the world. And they said, hey, we're retraining ourselves on how to keep our arousal control up. Some of it was the mindful breathing you just heard. But they do one other little thing. They said, what we do, what you've got to help your kids do is identify their stress signs. They come before the meltdown, and every kid has their own unique one. Maybe this week, to help your kid learn to cope, don't just point to the kid who's irritable. Everybody in the family's got their own unique one. Ask your kid what yours are. My kids would tell me, right before I get mad, Mom, you do that weird thing with your eyes. They know our signs. Help them learn what their signs are. Some kids, it's like this. Other kids, their little feet go up. And all you need to do is politely say, looks like you're getting a little stressed. You know, Your body is giving you an anger warning sign. Now what do I do? Well, you can take the deep, slow breath that you learned, but you can also do another thing. Navy SEALs say they learn a positive refrain that they say inside their head, like, I got this. It's okay. I can get through it. Parents, start doing that tonight. And you don't have to teach it immediately to your child. The best way to teach any skill is by modeling it. So model it to your child. Pretend you're frustrated. Oh, wow, I'm getting upset. I got this. I'll get through it. If you keep saying a mantra loud enough, pretty soon the glorious part of parenting comes through. Your voice becomes your child's inner voice. Oh my gosh, he'll use that the rest of his life, and that's what you're looking for. How about one other little thing? Your kids right now, and many of them told me they're scared to death, they're going to catch that virus. Well, all they've been watching is a doom and gloom report. And frankly, some of them have been watching some horrible things happening. Maybe a grandparent's passed away or a best friend has passed away. So what do? You don't talk your child out of a fear. It's real. But instead, what you do is just like you used to do when your kid was afraid of the swimming pool. You don't throw them in the deep end. You chunk the fear. Instead, what you do is, let's put your toe in today. Looks like you're okay, sweetie pie. Okay, now let's next day put your knee in. Next day, you finally help your child learn to adapt and give some hope. You do the same with a virus. Thank you for telling me that you're scared of that virus. I know that sounds really real to you. So today, let's open up the window. Looks like you're okay tomorrow. Let's now open up the door. Looks like you're okay. Let's put your foot out. Let's walk to the mailbox. Chunk the fear into manageable dosages. You see, there's lots of ways you can instill hope in a child. One of the things that, this is precious, but I always Zoom with kids all the time with focus groups of teenagers. And I was focusing with a group of very high, peak performing Chicago kids. And I said, okay, tell me the book you wish every high school teacher would be reading to you right now. What do kids need? I bet you this is a $50,000 question. You'll never get it. They said, Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. I said, you're kidding. I said, no, that's what every kid needs to hear right now. Start reading. That's Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Chicken Little. The other one is Terrible. Today was a terrible day. Help kids know that it's going to be okay. Tomorrow's going to be a better day. Fortunately, by Remy Charlotte. We read that when our kids were little. Keep telling them. Every day Ned has an unfortunate, but that's okay because the next page he turns his unfortunate into a fortunate. One of the things we do for trauma children, we do know that if you put a crisis in perspective, it can help a child. So one of the things you can do, not to all kids, you can't do all of these things for every kid. You got to find what resonates for the child. But maybe if it's a child who's really scared of the virus, thank you for telling me. Let's look at history. Let's look at back in history. Oh, let's look at what happened in the Spanish flu. Wow, they did the same thing right there. It seems like they were wearing masks. Seems like they couldn't go out to restaurants, but look what happened. They got through it. Ebola, smallpox, polio. Put it in perspective. You see, what I'm helping, I hope you see, is that hope can be instilled in children. It isn't with one little activity. It's with us modeling hope to our kids. It's by giving them what science says are simple little things to instill hope. Thrivers has dozens of ideas. Don't you dare do dozens of ideas or your kid will never let you read a book as long as you live. Don't do all those things, Mom. Choose one and keep doing it over and over again until that is a strategy that your child can use without you. That's what we're trying to do, is help our kids thrive. Not by us rescuing them, by giving them agency so they have tools on their own. One final little thing. We've been talking a lot of stuff about what to do for kids. I was writing Thrivers and I remember interviewing this fabulous journalist. She was about 85. And I said to her, hey, you know what? You were raised in London during a pretty tough time, during the Blitz, during World War II. How did you endure that? Every night with air raid sirens going off, every night hearing the bombings, every night hearing the planes coming in, every morning waking up to your whole city being desecrated. And I remember her looking at me and all of a sudden she goes, I never thought of it that way. And I went, what do you mean you never thought of the Blitz? She says, no, because I don't remember that. I said, what do you remember? She says, I do remember the signs of the air raid sirens. But the moment the air raid sirens came in, I remember my grandparents pulling the black shades because we had to have the drape skull so that there weren't any lights. And then I remember them starting to sing. And I remember what we used to do is sing Ring Around the Rosie. We'd sing all these games. We'd play the whole time. We never heard the air raid sirens. What we did instead was watch my calm grandparents sing. I think that's the bottom line for us. We can get through this. We will. Yeah, our kids are troubled and so are we. But the two things that keep coming up in resilience, it's teachable, thrivers are made, not born, is one, they have learned protective factors along the way. You've been hearing those all day long. You've been hearing fabulous ideas. There's dozens of them that we've just presented to you. Find one that's going to work for your family. Do the same one for at least 21 days until it becomes a habit. Your kids can do it without you, then add the next one. But remember the bottom line to it all. Ordinary things do make extraordinary differences in children's lives, like reading, like sense of humor, like mindful breathing, over and over again. But the bottom line to every child who endures and gets through this is a calm, caring, champion parent who refuses to give up on the child. Be that for your kid, and we'll get through this together. It's been an honor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Borba. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And one thing that occurred to me, because I have a 17-year-old, is as a parent, it's never too late to learn. You know, some of those things I did practice, some I didn't. But, you know, that constant seeking and learning as a parent, as an educator, it's never too late to learn new tools. So thank you so much. Thank you, all of you, for being here.